Most hunters think that you need hundreds of acres, huge destination food plots, or a massive budget to create a property that consistently holds deer. But here's the truth. You can build the high quality whitetail habitat on almost any property as long as you follow the right blueprint. The biggest mistake that I see landowners make is jumping into habitat projects without having a real plan in place first. They focus on these pieces and isolations but wonder why they can't keep deer around or get this consistent daylight movement. I take a completely different approach. Instead of just throwing in random improvements, I focus on creating a connected, strategic system that aligns with natural deer behavior. This can turn any piece of land into a huntable whitetail paradise. In this video, I'm going to break down the blueprint that I've used on large farms, small woodlots, and everything else in between. And by the way, I'm Greg Kazmierski. I've designed and improved whitetail properties all over the place, helping a countless number of landowners unlock their land's true potential. So let's dive in. Most hunters overlook access, but to me, it is the backbone of a successful whitetail property. What exactly is secure hunter access? It's having entry and exit routes that allow you to move in and out of your property without alerting deer. It's like trying to sneak back into your house at night. If you just barge through the front door and make a bunch of noise, everybody's gonna know that you're there. But if you slip in the back door quietly, nobody notices. Why is hunter access so important? Because absolutely nothing burns out a property faster than poor access. You could have the perfect food plots, great stand locations, but if the deer know that you're there, they're going to shift their travel patterns and even reduce the amount of daylight activity they have on your property. Most landowners make the mistake of focusing on the improvements first, but ignore how they're going to get in there and hunt those improvements. So how exactly do you secure your hunter access? You start by studying your property's layout and begin to understand where deer bed, feed, and travel. Then you're going to want to design access routes to avoid these core areas, using things like natural terrain features and planted screen cover to allow you to stay hidden. Always pay attention to the wind and keep your scent blowing away from these core areas as much as possible. The hunt begins the moment you make your way to the stand. Dialing in your hunter access routes is going to set the foundation for everything else you do on your property. Once your access is dialed in, the next step is deciding where exactly you're going to hunt. So what is optimal stand or blind placement? It's about choosing setups that give you the highest odds for encountering deer. It's about hunting smart, not just hunting. It's like sitting at a blackjack table and the dealer has a 7 showing. In one hand you have a 20 and in the other hand you have a 12. Sure, either hand could win, but that 20 is going to give you a much better chance of winning. Stand placement is no different. You're going to want to stack the odds in your favor. Why exactly does it matter so much? Because each time that you hunt your property, the deer are going to become more in tune with your presence. The wrong setup educates deer faster, leading to less daylight movement and fewer opportunities. The right stand placement helps you stay under the radar and keeps the deer moving naturally. So how do you place your stands and blinds effectively? This is where woodsmanship comes into play. On a larger scale, you need to understand how the flow of deer movement changes throughout the course of a season. On a particular day that you are hunting, you need to understand how the weather conditions for that day are going to impact deer movement and how you can hunt your property effectively without alerting them. Targeting travel funnels between bedding areas and feeding areas is one of the most consistent places to find daylight deer activity. By putting your stands and your blinds in the right locations and only hunting them under the right conditions, you're going to improve your odds dramatically. And it's also going to help you maintain the integrity of all of your other habitat improvements. If you're unsure how to read your property's terrain and find travel funnels, I actually have a free ebook that you can download called Mastering Topo Maps with onX Hunt. I added a link in the description down below. After dialing in your hunter access routes and your stand locations, it's time to think about food, but not in the way that most landowners do. What are high odds food plots? These are smaller, intentionally placed and shaped food plots that align with the natural flow of deer movement, creating more hunting opportunities, not just feeding the deer on your property. These are strategic kill plots, not giant destination food sources. So why are they so important? Most landowners don't have the space or the budget for large ag style food plots, and even if they did, these places quickly get burned out when they're overhunted. High odds food plots, on the other hand, encourage daylight movement and allow for a low impact exit once the deer make their way through these plots on their way to the destination food sources. So how do you design high odds food plots? By intentionally shaping these plots to align with the natural flow of deer movement and guiding that deer movement towards your stand placement. You want to locate these high odd food plots in places that deer already want to travel. For example, on a central Ohio farm, we put in an hourglass shaped food plot between bedding and a larger destination food source. This buck followed a group of does out of the bedding area directly through the hourglass shaped food plot in front of the hunter, leading to a filled tag. When done right, these small high odds food plots create consistent daylight activity, tying all of your habitat improvements together. Once your access, stand setups, and food plots are in place, you need to make sure the deer have an actual reason to live on your property. So what is adequate bedding cover? It is secure, undisturbed security cover where deer feel completely safe during daylight hours. This is their sanctuary. Absolutely no hunting pressure, no human disturbances. Think of it like your bedroom at home. You feel very safe, very comfortable there. You relax, you rest, and you really let your guard down. If someone barged into your bedroom every hour, you would never feel settled. So why is adequate bedding cover so important? Simply put, if the deer don't feel safe, they're not going to spend daylight hours consistently on your land. They're going to start moving off to the neighboring properties or only use your property at night. With secure bedding cover, it's much easier to key in on bed to food travel patterns and maybe those areas where bucks are scent checking doe bedding on your property. So how do you create adequate bedding cover? Strategies are going to vary from one property to another, but tactics like timber stand improvement, hinge cutting, and planting native grasses and shrubs is going to create this thick, diverse bedding area on your property. When bedding areas are done right, deer are going to start viewing your property as their primary home base rather than just a place that they pass through. With access, stand setups, food plots, and bedding cover in place, the final piece of the puzzle to tie it all together is guiding that deer movement through your property how you want to. So what is predictable deer travel? It's intentionally shaping how deer navigate their way through your property so that way it's natural for them but also strategic for you as a hunter. Why is predictable deer travel so important? When you can predict where the deer are going to travel, you're going to reduce the amount of times that you're bumping deer when you're making your way in and out of your property, giving you higher odds setups throughout the entirety of the season. So how exactly can you make it happen? Cut and maintain travel corridors that connect bedding to food or direct deer movement past your stand locations. Hinge cuts, down trees, brush piles, and terrain are all ways that you can encourage deer to use specific routes on your property. Combine these corridors with your food plots and your bedding areas to create this natural, seamless flow of deer movement across your property. For example, on a southern Ohio farm, we used a natural drainage top combined with hinge cuts and drop trees to funnel deer movement right into bow range. Shortly after daylight, this buck cruised through that pinch point during the rut and the landowner filled his tag. While all of the other habitat improvements are going to get the deer to spend more time on your land, predictable deer travel is really what's going to set your stand locations apart and give you those high odds setups consistently throughout the entirety of the season. So let's quickly recap. Step 1, secure hunter access. Step 2, place your stands and blinds where they offer the highest odds and the lowest impact. Step 3, create high odds food plots designed for hunting success, not just feeding the deer. Step 4, build adequate bedding cover so deer feel safe living on your property. And finally, step 5, shape predictable deer travel to tie everything together and create consistent opportunities across your property. With this blueprint, you're not just making random improvements, you're creating a connected, completed system that aligns with natural deer behavior. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway or question that you have on this topic, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.